This is Beth Eller with Bloomsbury Books. I'm very happy to welcome you here today to a sort of virtually live book buzz. And we'll get started. And here are some Bloomsbury titles from Winter 21. First up is Wolf Boy. Wolf Boy is hungry. Not only is he hungry, he's angry, and that makes him hangry. We've all been there. So he goes off searching through the woods and he's looking for food, and he's looking for rabbits. He's growling, he's angry, and he's just determined to go find some food. He goes across a field of moonberries, and then suddenly what pops up but the big ears of a rabbit. But those rabbits have really been very busy, and what they've done in the moonberry field is make moonberry pies. So the rabbits get to eat, the wolf gets to eat, and everybody ends up happily playing together. So it's a book that celebrates friendship. No animals get harmed in this solving of the hangry problem. It's a problem that every parent and child can relate to. Andy is an animator who's worked with Disney and Sony for more than 20 years, and you could see it in his art. Each piece of art, he made a clay sculpture, then photographed it, then put it in Photoshop. So the art literally leaps off the page. It's fun, and it will solve everyone's hangry problems. Next up is Misha Makes Friends. This is the next book in the Big Bright Emotion series from Tom Purcell. Misha's having a problem making friends. She doesn't know what to do in a crowd. She feels awkward. She feels she doesn't know how to fit in. And so what she decides to do is she goes into the corner where all her arts and crafts tool equipment is, and she starts to make her own friends. And this, for Misha, makes Misha happy, but her friends are really not as good at some things like playing games or playing ball or playing catch or tag. So she finally gets taken to a party, and she's scared, she's overwhelmed, and she's in a corner and she's making her own friends. And then a boy comes along and he too wants to make friends, and they make friends, they do make paper cutout friends together. And this is really her first step in how to make friends. And it's really a great book about helping a child who feels overwhelmed in social situations how to cope. This is The Most Clever Girl is a picture book biography, one of the only ones out there, of Jane Austen. And it really focuses on Jane Austen as a small child and how her parents really encouraged her to become a writer. It focuses on her dad, who went and bought her a very special desk that made her feel that she could do this, something that a girl typically couldn't do. It's empowering, it's inspiring, and it's a story about a lot of people's favorite authors. Send In a Girl is the story of Brenda Birkin. She was one of the first women who became a New York City firefighter. She grew up being told girls couldn't do certain things. She wanted to play baseball and she was told she couldn't. She was very active and she was sort of discouraged. When things started to change as she grew up, and she went off to law school, which was something that girls were also told they couldn't do, but she really wanted a more active job. And then there became a chance to become a firefighter. But there was a lot of pushback in New York City about women becoming firefighters. So they changed the test, so it was impossible for women to pass. She fought back, she used her law skills, she sued the fire department, and after a long contracted battle, they had to change the test, and they changed the test, and she became one of 40 women who started out fighting fires in New York City. She rose to the level of captain, ended up fighting at the Twin Towers during that disaster. So she had a long, successful career as a firefighter. It's a very inspiring story about women who broke the mold and stood up for themselves and got to do unexpected things. And now for middle grade. These Unlucky Stars is from Gillian McDunn. The main character feels just as a misfit. She doesn't fit in with her family. Mom has left. Her dad and her brother get along really well. She doesn't feel like she fits in. She too doesn't really know how to make friends. Gillian really does these middle grade stories about friendship and family so well. Annie goes off and she gets playing a game of Ding Dong Ditch, and she rings the doorbell of an elderly woman, and then she feels bad that she disturbed this woman, and she ends up making friends with Gloria and her dog to make amends for what she did as her prank. And it turns out that Gloria becomes a parent, can't live on her own, and she has to get other people to come in and help. This sort of brief but very important friendship really helps Annie learn that reaching out to others is the way to make friends, and that you can make your own lucky stars. It's heartwarming. It's just really that classic middle grade. I don't feel like people understand me. I don't know how to fit in. And you watch this girl just blossom. It's just lovely. Legacy is from Nikki Grimes, who needs no introduction. This is the follow-up to One Last Word, which was a winner of the Boston Globe Horn Book Award and got multiple starred reviews. In this book, like she did in One Last Word, Nikki is inspired by the poems of the Harlem Renaissance. In this book, she focuses on the women poets. And once again, she uses a technique called the golden shovel, in which she takes one line or a passage from the poem of the Harlem Renaissance poet and takes the word, each word of their line becomes the last word of her poem, which, as you can see on the next slide, it's much easier to see than explain. So the words in the bold are the words of the original Harlem Renaissance poet. And what Nikki does that's so amazing is, if you could be said to have a useful protagonist of a poem, Nikki does that. She takes the original poems and she sort of echoes the themes and the messages of those poems and makes them come alive for a younger generation. She's also done a tremendous amount of research and found poets that most people don't know. And she's sort of discovered some more poets from the Harlem Renaissance who are not as well known as their male counterparts. It's illustrated by 12 African-American female illustrators. It's absolutely gorgeous. And like One Last Word, this book just has so many entry points, whether it's learning about the Harlem Renaissance poems, learning about Nikki's poems, or enjoying the art of the illustrators. It's, again, a fantastic book. This is Reckless Glorious Girl. This is by Ellen Hagen. This is the coming of age story of a young girl who's living in Kentucky. And again, in that sort of middle grade way, she doesn't feel that her insides meet her outsides. And she doesn't want to be the center of attention, yet she wants to be the center of attention. She lives with her mother and her grandmother, so it's a sort of multi-generational story too. It really just is beautifully written. I think the poems captures each individual moment so beautifully, about finding out who you are and becoming comfortable with yourself. It's absolutely a spectacular read. And this is the book of Not Entirely Useful Advice. It's a really fun collection of silly poetry, totally different than Reckless Girl, which is in verse, from A.F. Harold. Kids will enjoy it. It's great for reluctant readers. And now for young adult. Love is a Revolution. This is from Renee Watson, another author who needs no introduction. This is Renee's foray into YA romance, which is new for her. Nyla goes to an open mic night to celebrate her cousin, sort of sister, best friend's birthday. And she meets Ty, who's this very handsome young boy, and she has a crush on him. Well, she's not as sort of much of an activist as he is, so she exaggerates / lies to make him like her. And of course, that doesn't work as well as she might think. So this really becomes a story about learning to love yourself and learning to accept yourself. And that's the best way to develop a relationship. But, you know, as with Renee, it's really, there's strong family connections. There's solid relationships between the adults and the kids. And there's a lot of humor in this book as well, with all the sort of commentary on being woke and not being woke. And is it sort of performative or is it serious? It has a lot of heart, and it also has some depth to it. Can't Take That Away. This is a debut. It's about a genderqueer teen, Carrie Parker, who he wants to be a diva. He's a big Mariah Carey fan, and the school is putting on Wicked, and he gets the part that is traditionally played by a girl, and now he's sort of genderqueer, and some days he identifies as they, some days he identifies as he, some days as she. The chapters are actually told in alternating pronouns, and this school sort of, there becomes a protest that he has this part that traditionally should go to a girl. So it's sort of a school play drama. It's about someone staking their claim and establishing their own identity. It's empowering. It's a story about self-identity, but there's a lot of fun in the whole Mariah Carey and the diva parts, and the story of friendships and his two friends who really support him. It's fun YA with a serious message about self-identity. And this is As Far As You'll Take Me. This is a second book from Phil Stamper. Cal is a young boy who lives in a really small town in Texas. One of his friends kind of outs him, and he doesn't want his town to know that he's gay. He escapes for the summer to go to the UK to visit his cousin, and his cousin's in a music school that he also was auditioning for. It's really a story about finding your own sort of alternate family if you don't feel comfortable in your family. He had lived in a small town with conservative parents, but as the story goes on, he starts to actually miss those parents, and he starts to miss that town. And so he ends up discovering that they were perhaps more accepting than he thought. So it's about finding your own way in life. It's also about accepting the people that you've come from in your own family. This is Phoenix Flame. It's the second book in the Havenfall series from bestselling author Sarah Holland. And this is the third book in the Bridget Chimera Cursebreaker series. Doesn't need a whole lot of introduction. A Vow So Bold and Lonely. Once again, there are two kingdoms at war. There are the two kings, the two rulers of the kingdom are at battle. The world just gets richer and richer, and you just get more immersed in the story. It's terrific YA fantasy. That's it. Please feel free to email myself or Jasmine Miranda, who works with me in school and library marketing. And we look forward to seeing you live someday again at a conference. And next up is my colleagues from Candlewick, Caitlin and Andy. I mean, Chronicle, sorry, I apologize.
the other C publisher, close cousins, Chronicle Books. So I'm Andy Krausick, and I'm with Caitlin Spots, and we're going to give you a selection of titles from our fall list, starting with our picture books. Caitlin will kick it off.
Hi everyone. So we're going to start with The Bear and the Moon. This is by poet and teacher Matthew Burgess. It's probably one of my favorites this season. This is going to seem like a very quiet book at first, but it's so much bigger than that. Matthew really tackles teaching about loss and forgiveness in such a poetic and subtle way. Even adults will be able to learn something from it as they read aloud. The words throughout this book are just as beautiful and transcendent as the art paired with it. It's illustrated by Katia Chen, who you might recognize from her artwork in the A.L.A. Schneider Family Book Award winner, A Boy and a Jaguar. Could we go through a few slides real quick? The illustrations in this are absolutely stunning, and they are like the perfect complement to this quiet and poetic text that really pays tribute to the depth and breadth of feeling in even the smallest children. Matthew's really inspired, or he was inspired to write this from his own experiences with kids and the way that they experience guilt, and then the way how they understand how to forgive themselves. So in the beginning of this book, the sky sends the bear a weightless gift, red as a berry, round as the moon, all on a silver string. They become instant friends, but just as quickly as he gains this friend, he loses it. In the end, though, the bear and the reader, they learn that we can all take a lesson in how to be gentle to ourselves and to others, how to let things go, and how to keep in our hearts everything we have loved. This is really just a knockout of a book, so please take a close look at it. The way this honors the profound in every human, no matter how small, is going to move people of all ages.
Up next is If You Come to Earth by two-time Caldecott medalist Sophie Blackall. This was just released last week. We're really excited about this one. Sophie Blackall, as you know, is the author of the Ivy and Bean series, and her first picture book, Ruby's Wish, was published by Chronicle Books, so we're considering this kind of a homecoming for Sophie. And this book, she worked on it for 7 years, and we're just so delighted that it's coming out in 2020. We think it's just the perfect timing for this, as it's just a message of not only how to take care of planet Earth, but how to take care of one another as well. This title was inspired by the thousands of children and family that Sophie met while traveling the world in support of UNICEF and Save the Children. All the people that are depicted in the book, Sophie has met herself, either personally or they're someone that we're all familiar with, such as Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden. If You Come to Earth is a guide to our home planet by young narrator Quinn. with the warmth and humor of Sophie's beautiful voice. It says, "Dear visitor from outer space, if you come to Earth, here's what you need to know. We live in all kinds of homes and all kinds of families. There are more than 7 billion people on Earth. We all have bodies, but every body is different. Except for my friends who are identical twins and look the same, except for Mustafa's mole. It is truly a compendium meets storybook. The book is visually comprehensive, but it also works as an engaging narrative about a single curious and imaginative child. Every time I look at the book, I find something new. It's perfect for classrooms and libraries, serving as a springboard for so many activities and conversations." And truly everyone who reads it will find something different, and Sophie's hope that every reader who comes to it will have a different perspective and a different way to engage with the story and to tell their own story of their experience here on Earth. Next up, a little bit of a lighter picture book is On Account of the Gum by Adam Rex. And he has taken a universal problem, getting gum stuck in your hair, and made it uniquely his own. So you get gum stuck in your hair, what do? You cut around it perhaps, you use butter or grease to get it out, classic solutions. And then he has some more bizarre and hilarious remedies. You get your aunt involved or your grandpa, fire department, get some grass, bacon, cat, vacuum cleaner in there. With each page turn, the situation becomes more absurd and more desperate. And just when you think you figured out Adam Rex's antics, a surprise awaits behind the next page turn. With rhyming text, unexpected turns, and wacky suggestions that you'll have kids laughing out loud and begging for repeat reads. This is perfect for fans of his other picture books like Nothing Rhymes with Orange, or other books such as The Book with No Pictures by B.J. Novak.
All right, Astronauts Mission 2. This is another really hilarious, laugh out loud, visually groundbreaking book that's the second in a major new series by the literature legend himself, John Cheska. It also features full color illustrations throughout by Steven Weinberg. So as readers of Mission 1 will remember, the 4 hybrid animals and astronauts were created to find a planet for humans to move to after we've made Earth unlivable. The plant planet didn't work out, so now they're on to the water planet. Unfortunately, this new planet is a little questionable as well. They're shocked when the clams who live there are big Earth fans. In fact, the clams are a little too eager to swap planets. All Astro Wolf has to do is sign the FBI, Federated Bureau of Intergalaxies, swap agreement. The clams show off their planet, telling the astronauts that everything is perfect and there's no need to run the usual tests for human compatibility. But of course, there's a reason it's too good to be true. So that night, Susan B. Clampany, a real character in this book, shows up at the team's rocket, insisting that there's more to the planet than meets the eye. What she shows them is distressing. The planet's in shambles. So they all kind of knew, like, they were suspicious about it. But then there's still, the clams kind of come back saying that if they sign this agreement, then Astro Wolf will get his own Alpha Wolfmore, which will feature himself 4 different times. Yeah, fun fact, John and Stephen are actually related. So John is Stephen's father-in-law. So unlike a lot of author and illustrator duos, these two work very closely together and in person oftentimes. They really collaborate, putting the text and illustrations together in a humorous and unique way. And the illustrations throughout this book are truly out of this world. They also include some how to draw pages in the back of the book. It's just really a great read for any eager and reluctant readers alike that are looking for more graphic novels. And lastly, I just want to mention, since it feels more relevant than ever, there's also a lot of wonderful commentary on climate change throughout the book. So while silly and hilarious at its core, it offers some extremely helpful commentary on the reality of climate change and what happens if we don't start listening and acting now. It's just an action-packed book that truly has it all, and it's perfect for any reluctant readers that are ready to blast past Dogman.
And last up, another middle grade novel just coming out today, which is, I guess if you're not watching this live, September 22nd, is Ben B. and the Teacher Griefer, The Kids Under the Stairs by K.A. Holt. Ben Bellows, or Ben B., and 3 of his classmates are stuck in summer school under the stairs. But these kids aren't dumb. They're simply divergent thinkers, as Ms. J tells them. And soon they win over Ms. J with their passion for Sandbox, which is a Minecraft type game. Ben B makes a deal with Ms. J. Every minute they read aloud, they get to play 1 minute of Sandbox. But when the administration finds out about this unorthodox teaching method, Ben B and his buds have to band together to save their teacher's job and their own academic future. This laugh out loud novel in verse, each chapter told in a different style to reflect the different perspectives of each of the 4 students and their learning styles, is the first in a series, and each of the following books will be told in a complementary perspective of each of the students, is an honest, heartfelt book about friendship, school, and video games that celebrates different types of intelligence and encourages even the most reluctant readers to embrace their own divergent self. K.A. Holt is the acclaimed author of Rhyme Schemer, House Arrest, and Redwood and Ponytail. So that's it for us, and we'll turn it over to Workman.
Hey everybody, so I am the other Caitlin in the group, Caitlin Rubenstein, and I am here to bring you the latest and greatest from Workman, Algonquin Young Readers, and some of our other imprints here, Story, Erewhon, and The Experiment. So first up, you can download my slides. I'll do a little like do, so you can like take a screenshot or you can jot down this link, but you can get everything that we're talking about here today there. So I think that's enough time. Some 2020 titles not to be missed. These were published in the spring, and I just wanted to remind you that they are out there. First up is Tigers Not Daughters. If you did not hear about me shout about this before the world went crazy, now the world is crazy, and I'm telling you again, this is such a fabulous book. I absolutely love it. I hate to say it's my favorite YA of the year because I have more YA to tell you about later, so I'm going to say it's my favorite YA of the spring, especially because it's the only YA on this slide. After that one is Don't Check Out This Book. If you are a school librarian and you're watching this, this book is especially for you. It's middle grade and an epistolary, means it's written in all correspondences, letters, text messages, newspaper articles, super, super fun. So definitely check that one out. In the role of Bree Hutchins, fantastic coming of age middle grade. It's actually the summer of 8th grade, the end of 8th grade into summer of 8th grade for Bree. So if you have kids that are aging out of middle grade and into YA, this is a great transition book for them. Everything you need to know to ace computer science and coding in one big fat notebook. I think everyone could use this, whether or not you're in middle school or not, just because to me, it is learning a foreign language. You get 5 different coding languages included in this book, and it's really wonderful. Notebook is really tricky for people. People get hung up, they think it's a write-in. It is not a write-in. This is just a really wonderful study aid. Who Got Game Baseball? This is by Newbery honor-winning author Derek Barnes. Really fun facts about America's favorite pastime. Screaming Hairy Armadillo is super fun to say, as well as all of the other animals inside of this book. You're going to really love it. It's very fun, and there's a really fun name generator, so you can make your own really interesting animal names in the back. And then How to Be a Person. It is the primer for every middle schooler to become the best college roommate one day. I think there are plenty of adults who need this book as well. It includes things like remembering to write thank you notes, or taking that sock from the floor and putting it actually in the hamper, or just watering the plants when they look a little sad. So definitely pick this one up if you know someone who just needs a little extra help or a little extra coaching. And then we have recent publications. These just came out and are really wonderful, and I wanted to let you know about them. If you go with your goat to vote, I think is super fun to say. Really fun rhyming picture book all about voting. It is such an important thing that we teach our young readers. It is an absolute right and one that everyone should be enacting. So please go vote, but also get this book and teach young readers to vote as well. The Constitution Decoded. This is so timely, so important. It really breaks down the amendments. It talks about the words that are used in the Constitution and, you know, what they meant then to what we think of them now, how this document is always changing in our ever-changing government and environment. Premeditated Myrtle is a series. We published the first 2 books simultaneously. It has 2-star reviews for the first book. She is what I like to think of as a Victorian Harriet the Spy. So if you like either of those things, be sure to pick up this middle grade cozy series. Then on to YA, we have Body Talk by Kelly Jensen. This is the 3rd in a really great teen nonfiction anthology series. The first was Here We Are, Voices of Feminism. The second is Don't Call Me Crazy, which is all about mental health and mental health awareness. And Body Talk encompasses so much more than just shape and size. There's disability, gender identity, body dysmorphia, really, really important book and one conversation that everyone should be having. Furia is brand new YA by Shamile Saeed Mendez. It is beautiful, beautiful. There's a romance, kind of a girl, Camila, she's living 2 different separate worlds in herself. It has a starter review, and it was the 2nd pick and the September 2020 pick for Reese's YA Book Club. That's Reese Witherspoon, if you don't know which Reese I'm talking about, although there's only one in my life. So be sure to check that one out. It's celebrity approved. And then The Scapegracers, which is a brand new book from our brand new imprint, Erewhon, which is our science fiction fantasy imprint. This is the first in a trilogy, and it covers a lesbian witch coven. So super into this one. I was unaware of the science fiction fantasy realm in a large way. I always knew about magical realism, but this imprint is bringing you like just hard-hitting dystopian science fiction, magical realism, witchy goodness. So be sure to check this one out. On to the new stuff. We have a new really cute series from Story Publishing. This is Busy Little Hands, and this is Art Play and Food Play, and it's really just about experiencing your world around you. These are really wonderful for all of us at home right now. If you have a little one in your life, there are some really great activities that just deal with, the things that you have lying around in your house. I especially love Food Play. My little one is starting to get into food, and I think playing with your food is really important. It builds a really healthy relationship with food as you continue in your life. So get ready to get messy and have a great time. And then The ABCs of Black History by Rio Cortez. I am absolutely in love with this book. This one just received a starred review from an outlet that maybe rhymes with Schmermis, that we'll go with that. So definitely check this one out. It's so beautiful, and it really goes beyond just A, B, C, D. Every letter has multiple meanings behind or multiple words behind what is being spoken. Each letter gets its own poem, and in the back there's a timeline, more information about the events, people, and places that you read about on every page. So embarrassing. I love this one because middle grade is just like middle school, and it's so embarrassing. Everyone has that moment that they just go red in the face thinking about. And you can see here on the spread that I listed, the girl on this page just narrowly missed her chair. And the first image that you see is everyone laughing at her. That's what she feels like the whole room is just overwhelming laughter. And then as you see, that laughter gets smaller and smaller and smaller as she realizes oh, it's not so bad, I just fell off my chair, it's no big deal. So I love this one because everyone has these moments. As an adult, I still have these moments. So this one just kind of gives you some comic relief to those moments in your life. Skunk and Badger, I don't think I can say how much I love this one. This is written by Newbery Honor-winning author Amy Timberlake, and Caldecott medalist John Klassen has offered his expertise in illustration for us. It follows the ultimate odd couple. Skunk, who you can tell here, has entered into Badger's life with a hand out and a smile on his face, and Badger is looking at him like, no way, man, you gotta find another house. He's just not having it. So this is a really classic odd couple tale, but it's beautifully, beautifully done. And, it's going to be a new classic for all of your readers. There are quantum chickens. There's a rocket potato. There's so much fun in this book that I would need an entire another buzz just to tell you about. So be sure to pick this one up. 3-star reviews, not to be missed. And here's some spreads just because, I had to. Big fat notebooks go to high school. We talked about coding before. Now we are aging up with our readers. You can check out sample chapters and table of contents at the links below on this slide. Everything you need to know about chemistry and geometry. I really needed these when I was in high school. I need the coding now, but I needed these back when I was in school. So if you know a kid who is struggling or just needs an extra little boost at the end of the day, this is a perfect study guide for them. Again, from Erewhon Books, our science fiction fantasy imprint, this is Rise of the Red Hand. The South Asian province is divided in two. There are the uplanders. They are part of this luxurious world of people that live in a climate-controlled biodome, and they use gene therapy to stay young forever. And then on the other side, there are a group of poor people who are in slums with black market robotics and cyborgs and deadly bugs. It's really interesting. But what I love so much about it is, of course, our main character here teams up with a hacker from the Uplanders who just happens to be the son of a prominent politician, and they work together to save the day. It is an awesome thriller, really fantastic science fiction fantasy young adult. I have some nonfiction anthologies to share with you in the YA space. Girlhood, which is teen voices from all around the world. So this is 30 teens, their experience in just everyday ordinary life. I especially love this one because we're all connecting right now virtually, and this gives people an opportunity to connect on a different way in a different space, which is in print, which I think is really nice and refreshing. Foreshadow, Nova Rensuma and Emily Exarpan are YA legends on their own, but they have paired up together. They released a really cool serial YA anthology online, and now we're bringing that into print. So this is 13 short stories from brand new YA voices that you have never heard from before, but they're introduced by legends like Laurie Halse Anderson, Nicola Yoon, Jason Reynolds. So you've got the YA authors that you love and trust introducing brand new voices to you in a really fantastic anthology. That's it for me. If you need me in any way or have any questions about anything, all of the places to reach me are here, as well as both of my newsletter signups. One is everything and all things Workman, and the other one is everything and all things middle grade from all over. So be sure to follow, tweet, share, email, and connect with all of us. We are so happy to have been here with you guys today. Please be safe, wash your hands, don't touch your face, and for goodness sake, wear a mask. Bye, everybody. Be safe. Thank you.